During perceived divided times right now in 2020, it's important that we as a veteran community stay plugged in to a tribe that continues to root each other on. But how do we do that and make sure we're networking up, not down, as we look to close with and destroy our next goal in life?
The more you give, if you have the attitude, the more you give, the more that's going to come back to you. It's an easy day and a simple answer. That continued service that we all talk about while we're in the military, it doesn't stop just because you take the uniform off.
Today's show is brought to you by Brute Force, based in Denver, Colorado. Brute Force sandbags are without a doubt the top selling, top performing, and most used sandbag in the industry. The sandbag is found everywhere from garage gyms to CrossFit boxes to the U.S. Navy and will humble most athletes right out of the gate. The sandbags come in dozens of sizes and styles and weight capacities as low as 5 pounds all the way up to 300 pounds. Regardless of the color or weight, these 100% American-made training products are built for the toughest training on the planet. Every Brute Force training sandbag component carries their Brute Force Shield warranty. So they back their sandbags 100% so you can buy with confidence. If you don't like it, Ambitious Vet, send it back. They have a 30-day money-back guarantee. Click the link in the show notes below to take advantage of their Black Friday deals and their weekly giveaways. Brute Force. Train accordingly. Welcome to the Ambitious Vet Podcast. My name is Chris. I'm a Marine Corps combat veteran turned social entrepreneur. Here, I dive into the trenches with today's most ambitious, goal-oriented, and growth-minded military veterans on the planet to empower you with the golden grenades needed to break through new levels of satisfaction, fulfillment, and success after stability is no longer a challenge to overcome. So if you haven't already, Ambitious Vet, grab your pen and paper and buckle up. It's time to gain the golden grenades needed to grow and advance in your life.
It's time to get into the trenches, dig into your purpose, and fire up your life's fulfillment. The Ambitious Vet Podcast starts now.
What's going on, Ambitious Vet? We're right back inside the trenches with Ryan Loya, Marine Corps veteran and co-founder and chief business officer of Meritorious. Meritorious is the only private network exclusive to military veterans and military spouses in senior level positions with a private member portal, networking events, and professional development. This all-in-one online portal features a member directory, startup hub, mentor connect, groups, and forums, and also career opportunities and much, much more. Ambitious Vet. Him and his co-founder, Catherine, are on a mission to connect successful executives who share military camaraderie and leadership experience, thus accelerating your impact with actionable business outcomes. Ryan, brother, welcome to the show.
Thanks, brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I mean, every time I talk to you, I feel like I'm back in the Marine Corps uniform with like my East Coast Marine buddies, man. I love it, man. I love it. Yeah. So, brother, feel free to fill the gap inside that introduction and tell us a little bit about like a personal thing about you that an Ambitious Vet may not know about.
The only thing I would add to the introduction is since we've launched and the community's grown and come together, I wouldn't really say the focus is really there directly just for the executives or the executive individuals out there. It's really just grown into a community of veterans that are now moving, either have or are now moving into the professional or civilian space and looking to continue to grow and get better and learn from each other. It's really, between the information share and that peer-to-peer professional development, the different services offered, whether you're in your last year of active duty and looking at what you want to do next and want to actively network that's going to actually have positive outcomes and not just collect business cards at another, random networking event. Or if you've been in business for 10, 20 years and looking to switch industries, there's someone there that's been there, done that you can connect with. And then between the events and executive coaches we have on board, there's going to be someone else to help you. Other than that, about myself, it's been a crazy run since I exited the Marine Corps a few years back. I can tell you that surrounding myself with good people and mentors has been really helpful. I can remember a couple of things, like first coming out, for those of you that are in that transition mode or just coming out of the military. I remember like the first time I was not necessarily interviewing, but the first time I started writing kind of professional emails or having to communicate through the written English language. I sent an email, and Catherine, my co-founder, was CC'd on it, and she had, one off and wrote me back and was like, okay, before you send anyone else an email, it will come to me first, and I will edit it for you before it goes out to anyone.
That is awesome.
And then you learn and you grow. And then, after a couple of years in advertising, and I started this entrepreneurial journey, it was kind of the same feeling. I had another friend who's a VC and a prior veteran, and I put together the first kind of, not even a full deck, but just kind of an outline of this idea I had. Sent it over to him, and he called me up. And he's like, if you were another veteran, I wasn't trying to help you, I would delete your email and never open anything you sent me. So it just goes to show, you got to start somewhere and kind of take that step outside and not be afraid of making those mistakes, and try to make as many mistakes early, because they're a lot easier to learn from, and they're a lot cheaper too.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. I that's awesome that you had that trampoline of feedback too from Catherine. Man, I mean, that's good stuff, because, sometimes you got to trust yourself, but also verify no matter what, right? Like,
Yeah.
Man.
And the more people you have around about the sounding boards are so important. It's where you learn the information. And again, like, the information's out there, and you think, this day and age with the internet, you can Google anything, but there is no replacement for experience. And those individuals that are out there that have that, they have the information. A lot of times they're willing to give it, but you have to get out there and ask. And then learn and put it into action. So anyway, back to you.
No, I mean, that's great, man. I think a lot of, ambitious vets, maybe you that's listening to this, ambitious vet, a lot of us, we get scared in those first few years to even reach out to people that may have a lot of experience. So I'm excited to pivot into our first topic, Ryan. I mean, talk to us, man. You've been out since 2017 from the Marine Corps?
Yeah. So not too long. Coming out 4 years in March.
Yeah. So 2017, you transitioned as a sergeant, right? After 10 years of service, man. First and foremost, thanks for that, right? And you did your B-billet. I saw you were a drill instructor.
Yeah.
It's huge, man. You still got the frog voice a little bit. It's funny.
I try not to.
So, walk us through those first few years out of the Marine Corps, man. What did it look like, and what did you learn?
Oh man, it was. It's kind of crazy to think back and how fast time flies. But coming directly out of the Marine Corps, I had a little bit of time on active duty. My command gave me the opportunity to start school, and I was flying back and forth on leave to New York to visit Catherine, who'd also make connections, and through some mutual friends, we're connecting with some veterans that had been in the advertising industry for some time, and had the opportunity to get a job at a large agency here, write a proposal to create a veteran hiring immersion program, which was amazing. And then worked as a senior account executive for a couple of years, which, again, being part of a large company and being in account services, you kind of have your hand in all the different pieces of that client and what goes into the services and products that you're producing. So in a way, it was very entrepreneurial, and learning those different skill sets. And it's I've always contributed a lot of success to the characteristics of empathy and accountability that we definitely learned as leaders in the Marine Corps early on, and those two things kind of bringing a team together towards a common purpose or a mission statement. But once you get in the civilian world, I mean, you know how it is. When you're in the Marine Corps, you're at the barracks. No matter how many deployments or how many rotations you do and boot drops, it's always essentially the same guy, different faces, right? You have the jocks, the college football players, you got the guys that might have got in trouble trying to get out,
right?
So on and so forth. In the civilian world, you have a lot of different individuals, and their individuality is very important to them. So those characteristics of empathy and accountability really need to be heightened, because it can't, you're not just dealing with a bunch of jarheads anymore. You're dealing with all people from all different backgrounds, and especially being in a melting pot like New York. That was, first a great leadership challenge, and great to understand and learn from other people. I think just always had that drive, and had the opportunity to jump into some startups, and I took advantage of it. That was another huge learning curve. The first startup company I worked with, they're still working through some things, but I ended up having a transition after a little over a year, and then worked with some accelerators, and most recently was working with an accelerator out of Columbia University, partnered with NYSERDA to work with clean tech companies as a CXO candidate. That was a great time and a different industry for me. So another great learning experience. And then also having to deal with imports and exports from other countries, as well as manufacturing and production. That was another great learning experience. And then, I think through working with all the different accelerators and going to all these different events and networking, Catherine and I saw this trend of, especially some of the more senior individuals, and talking to them, I was like, hey, I know the events are great. I love connecting with veterans. I love giving back and mentoring, but I wish there was something out there that, to connect with my peer group as well. So that kind of sparked an idea of like, well, what if we started creating this community for more like the manager to executive levels, so they can, continue to work through problems, get better. And I'm sure a lot of people have experienced this in their career path. As you get more senior, you can a lot of times be more alienated from your peer group. And just because you reach a certain point, it doesn't mean that that's all you want to do, or you made it to the top and now you're done. But then it evolves so much from that original idea, especially with how fortunate we were to get so many comments and people coming back to the website and saying, hey, these services are out there that they could be done better, this way, or this is still missing, or this needs to be done, or what if we put these things together? And that kind of formed the community of Meritorious and what it looks like today.
You guys have done a great job. And, any ambitious vet, I know you're kind of like drinking a whiskey late at night, or maybe you're on a morning run, getting that PT and listening to this conversation, kind of just on standby. But every time I'm inside of a veteran networking event, Ryan Loya's name comes up. Meritorious comes up. Why? Because he's quality. But he also is really good at relationship building, which I'm also really excited to unpackage. But before we do that, man, it sounds like when you went in New York, you had to learn quick, man, because they don't slow down over there. They just don't. And it sounds like the low speed, low drag, high speed, low drag thing didn't really work out over there. It's like, hey, we can't slow down. We got to keep up with the New York and type culture. So that's good stuff. But brother, man, I want to shift gears. I want to get into the relationships side of who you are, man, because one thing that even I've failed to do in the first few years, and I think a lot of ambitious vets do the same, is we don't keep up with our relationships, man, when we're getting out of the military. We're always seeking that next thing because we're in this like survival mindset. At least that's how I was, right? But not you, man. You've done a great job doing that. So, and relationships matter. In anything, marriage, business, friends, family, all of that, right? So why do relationships matter so much as us as ambitious vets pursue our next goals? What would be your answer to that?
There's a lot of different layers to it, to be honest.
Yeah.
And also it depends on I guess it doesn't necessarily depend on your career path, but relationships are important no matter what that is. It's just how those relationships work sometimes. I mean, sales is always an easy example, because if you develop that friendship with someone in that first 30 seconds, it makes it that much harder for them to say no. Like take the car salesman, for example. He goes out on the lot. He's got 30 seconds to a minute to make an impression. Try to find that emotional connection, because at the end of the day, if it's that much harder for that person to say no to that car or that deal, they're liable to stick around long enough to make something that works.
Right.
And then again, the only way you're successful in sales is creating those repeat sales that again comes from those relationships. I mean, that's only one instance. Obviously in leadership, I mentioned empathy and accountability, and being able to create that team cohesion to really work together to create the best product or service. And that takes everyone from the team and each individual doing their best work so the person to their right and left can do their best work, and everyone being motivated. And everyone's motivated towards different things. Some people want that work-life balance. Some people want the title. Some people want the higher paycheck. Some people, it ranges. So that's where that empathy part comes in. Is like, what's driving this person? What do they need? As far as those transitioning or getting into the civilian or business sector, it's what I like to call, or you probably heard like that active networking, or making it effective networking, to where you can go to 100 events, collect business cards, throw them in, I have gallon Ziploc bags full of business cards.
Yeah.
Some people I followed up with, some people I haven't, and I had to learn as well. But taking the extra time, not to just to grab a business card or pass one out, have a conversation, find out do your homework. Like, there's a lot of people that show up to an event and there's 300 people in a room, or even if there's 50 people in the room, in a couple of hours, there's no way you're going to be able to talk to everyone. And if you do run into someone or start talking to someone, that could be mutually beneficial. So the idea is do your homework, see who's going to be there, who do you want to talk to, who's holding that information that you're looking for, who can you relate with. And again, it's not like you just walk up to people and say, hey, how you doing? I'm Ryan. I'm looking for someone to do this, this, and this for me, because that's going to be an automatic turnoff.
Oh yeah.
What can I do for you? How can I collaborate? What are you looking for? What are your needs? Hey, I noticed that this is your business, so on. Such and such is doing this great thing. Where'd you get the idea? How'd you develop that? People love to talk about what they're doing and how. It's funny, like, especially in the entrepreneurial world or the tech world, like how they're changing the world, or
innovating. Yeah, the buzzword. Yeah.
And I'm just kind of a corny example, but
yeah,
you want to create that relationship and then follow up and come through with it. If you tell someone, hey, I can introduce you to so and so, or I could do this, I can help you with that. Follow up on it, help them out. Sometimes I meet veterans all the time that would give me a call and say, hey man, I really need help with this thing, or hey, I'm trying to put this event together. Can you post that for me? It's a simple, like 2-minute task, but they know that you're there and you're there to help. Or maybe you've done something well, and you're going to run into someone that's, hey, I need help. Do you mind sitting down with me for 30 minutes or taking a call and walking me through how you put this together? The more you give, if you have the attitude, the more you give, the more that's going to come back to you. It's an easy day and a simple answer. That continued service that we all talk about while we're in the military, it doesn't stop just because you take the uniform off. You just take care of each other, and no matter what branch, rank, or MOS you have, at the end of the day, you're still going to end up a veteran like the rest of us. We're all going to share that common label in the end. So might as well try to help each other out, and that's a big part of why Meritorious and the community we're building is about. So.
Yeah, no, the why is clear, man. It's great. And it's much needed inside the community. Ambitious Vet, what I love most about what Ryan just says is he's not just grabbing a business card, pitching his 30-second elevator pitch that's, been, thrown down our throat since getting out of the uniform. It's increasing your listener skills, but also getting super curious, but also looking at, okay, what's the next small win that I can give that person in front of me? Right. And that to me, man, I think even when I'm listening to that kind of eliminates the fear of what do I say in an email follow up? You already know what you're going to communicate about.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's good stuff. Yeah. I love that, because I'm thinking of an ambitious vet that's listening to this right now. That's, doing, virtual Zoom conferences and networking events and stuff like that. And how do you build those deep quality relationships during this new virtual world and, do all that? So that's really good, man. So do you have any more to add around that?
No, not really. I mean, now that you mentioned, especially now with COVID and how things have really gone virtual with Zoom and these virtual networking events, if you're attending these and it's a kind of a free for all and everyone's just in there, there's a ton of people, everyone kind of has their minute to spit something out, and then people are trying to exchange information in the chat box. Try to gain as much as you can, stay engaged and take the connections that you can from it. But if you see events that kind of break into smaller, like almost like roundtables, or break into different breakout rooms with smaller groups where it's 2, 3, 5 people, even if it's only 10 minutes at a time, I found that you're going to gain a lot more from that style of a virtual conference or networking. Not to say that any of them are bad. It's just something that I found to be more productive.
Yeah. It sounds a hell of a lot more intentional, man.
Right.
Like versus just, volume to more quality, deepening. Yeah, man, that's a good skill, man. And that's awesome that that's great. So one other thing, man, I love about what you do and just being in conversations with you, man, over the past month is your strategy behind networking. You've already kind of dove into it a little bit, but when you're out there prospecting for new relationships, how do you measure your return on investment as far as time? And how do you actually be that intentional to make sure that actually happens, if that makes sense? Because, let's face it, man, sometimes when we're networking and we're prospecting, right? Just relationships, sometimes we're talking to Joe Smo, and Joe Smo isn't the guy we need to be talking about. So how do you identify that? Let's be real, right?
Yeah. I'm laughing because you're going to meet people, it's not a perfect world. And not to say, as much as I try to help people out, I can't say I don't have some people in my Rolodex or in my cell phone that my phone rings and I look at the caller ID and go, oh, this guy again.
Yeah.
It happens, but, again, trying to do your homework in the first place and see where those common relationships are, knowing what your mission is and what you're trying to do. And again, you don't have to blow people off, but try, like you mentioned before, making sure it's deliberate. And then, what do you have to offer? What do they have to offer? A lot of that goes into understanding your audience and picking those events that those types of people and like-minded people are going to be at. Again, and then another great thing is when you're surrounded by great people and you've kind of already created maybe a small network around yourself, asking them for the introductions, or saying, we're talking to the next guy that that might have a larger network. Or this, if you guys want to reach out to me and say, hey, Ryan, I'd really like to get introduced to someone that's great at this, or someone that's in this industry. If I know them and I can introduce you to them, then you can skip the events, and kind of searching or Googling, or the endless LinkedIn messages. So finding those introductions, second, those one-off relationships are really, really helpful. And that, again, that doesn't always work out depending on what their bandwidth is. You just, again, and then also consistency. If something doesn't work, or you think that you can't put all your eggs in one basket, or if one person turns you down or doesn't have time, you can't just say, oh, well, that's not going to work now. There's other people, there's other people out there willing to help, and other ways to get around it. But that's, for me at this point, the biggest help, and where I kind of lean on is the existing relationships and the network I already have, and reaching out to them and saying, hey, here's the next hurdle, or this is the next thing I'm looking for. This is the next thing I need help with.
Yeah, it's kind of like how Dennis Volpe said a couple episodes ago, like your own QRF team, man. Quick reaction force team to just kind of plug into. It's really good stuff. Those LinkedIn messages can just drain you. It's exhausting. LinkedIn can be exhausting if you don't know how to use it. So great, man. That's some great knowledge. So now here's the thing is in a busy world where, tons of people, in the world right now are just reactive due to politics, economic challenges, viruses, etc. The list goes on, right? Seems like everyone's afraid of something nowadays. How can we nurture the right relationships to build the trust needed to not only survive, but thrive during and after this pandemic and the election year, man?
This has been a big topic of conversation, and a big topic of conversation with the Meritorious and the community as well. Not only within the community, but also like the direction we want to take as a community and a company. And people are really reactive. We saw that with a lot of the social injustice issues and companies and nonprofits jumping on the bandwagon, and employees, raising their fists if the company doesn't throw out support in a tweet or have that added advertising and messaging. I think for all of it across the board, we have to understand that the best thing about America and this country is that people get to have their own opinion. And if you don't agree with it, you don't have to. But if you listen, you might learn something. And a lot of times you're going to realize that people aren't really that far off. It's, a great example is my younger brother. Super progressive left. I'm more, middle right. And there's some things we're just not going to agree on. But for the most part, we can, we're behind the same things. Because at the end of the day, we want people to be happy. We want people to have the freedoms and enjoy their life. So I think the big thing is going to be listening. And that's a big piece with Meritorious. And, the military community is such a great thing, especially right now, because we're one of those few communities that still root for each other. I was talking to another podcast in the cybersecurity space, and it wasn't during a podcast. It was just during a phone call and a conversation. And I said the same thing. I was like, it's really great to be in 2020 and we still have this community that's rooting for each other. And he started laughing. He's like, I didn't realize that was still happening in 2020. And that's kind of like a sad thing if you think about it, that everyone's, wanting to draw the line in the sand. And if you're not on my side, then, we're against you. It doesn't have to be that way. And so that's, one of the things we hope that we can affect with Meritorious is having this community of not only veterans, but also decision makers and leaders in the civilian community to show that the unity and working together and having those skill sets or listening and opening those lines of communication will lead to success for everyone, not necessarily just one person or one party or one problem. We're a lot stronger together than we are divided. And we're seeing that if you really pay attention to the big picture. The politicians and elected officials hold a lot more power when we're fighting with each other and not holding them accountable and forgetting to hold them accountable, which is what the Constitution was set up for. So, it's one of those very volatile and but also very mainstream at the moment issues. So we could talk about it for quite a while, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, I love what you said though, is like plug into the tribe that's, already existing there versus go and, try to argue with people. I don't think it's very productive at all just to argue your viewpoints or your opinions during this time.
Right. Absolutely. And no one's anywhere. It's just created more problems. So it's you got to hope in the American people and that things start to get better. And
Yeah, man. Well, I acknowledge you, man, for getting Meritorious up and running, because I think that is a great tool for an ambitious vet to go in and nurture relationships, stay plugged into a trusted network of high performing veterans inside the trenches, problem solving, decision making, and just stuff like that matters in our day-to-day lives when we have all these distractions. I just love what you guys have put together with that. And I think that's a great ecosystem to plug in away from all the distractions that social media, mainstream media and all that can just naturally provide us, man. So that's huge. And Ambitious Vet, if you haven't already, go check out meritorious.us and check them out, see what they're doing. Because it may be the way that you can continue to nurture your tribal relationships that you already have. You already have that trusted bond, but it's you listening and going to the next level. So, brother, do you have anything else to add to that?
No, not really. It's
Yeah. I love how honest and authentic you are, though, brother. It's just boom. It's either white or black. I love it.
I don't know if it's a gift or a curse. But
I love it. I love it. So, Ambitious Vet, we're going to take a real quick break to thank our sponsor, but we'll be right back inside the trenches with Ryan Loya. Ambitious Vet, are you ready for your next timepiece that tells as good of a story as your life tells? If so, hey, Christmas is coming up. Maybe you're looking for your next premium watch or you're looking to gift to a special someone in your life. Well, look no further than Original Grain. They create handcrafted watches which feature sustainable, reclaimed, and repurposed materials that tell a story. It's more than a watch, it's a conversion piece. Each timepiece is one of a kind, just like you. Find your perfect match now by visiting originalgrain.com. And if you find anything that you really speaks to you, or a gift that you want to reward a friend, family member, or associate, make sure to enter in code AMVNetwork10 and get a 10% off military discount on us. Again, that's originalgrain.com. The coupon code is AMVNetwork10. All right, Ambitious Vet, we're right back inside the trenches with the co-founder of Meritorious, Ryan Loya. The intention of this entire interview was to empower you, right, with the insights to create opportunities through quality strategic networking. And we're hoping that you found golden grenades so far. I know I have. I have notes right here on this piece of paper. So we're going to shift gears, Ambitious Vet. We're going to dive into Ryan's 3 golden grenades. So Ryan, man, there's an ambitious vet listening to this that's, been out for at least 3 years, has figured out stability, but is lacking that life satisfaction, that sense of purpose, that fulfillment, man, that keeps us, rocking and rolling as military high performers. What would be 3 wisdom bombs that you would give to that ambitious vet?
One, think about your career path rather than industry first. So, whether you want to be in the real estate or, finance, those are industries, but career paths like sales or marketing or development, IT, those are career paths that transcend to get across different industries. And you're gonna find different cultures, different companies. If you want to stay in that kind of mainstream, work for another company, work your way up, which there's nothing wrong with. And I've known a lot of veterans that have done that and been really happy and been really successful. On the entrepreneur side, if you do want to go the entrepreneurial route, I have a blast doing it. You're going to learn every day, but your return on investment's a little bit different, to where initially you're not going to get a paycheck the 1st and the 15th. It might not be for a year. So you need to be prepared for those things and how you're going to build not just revenue, but then, first comes revenue, then you have profits, because first you got to pay to keep that company up and running before you can actually pay yourself. And there's a lot of different theories or ways to pay yourself first. And, I'm not here to get into all of that now. If you have questions or want to talk about it, feel free to contact me. But so I would say, that being said, something that, Gary Vee talks about a lot is make sure it's something that you're passionate about. What gets you up out of bed in the morning? Don't do it just because you think, this is the next AI trend or voice trend, or try to jump on an idea because you think it's going to raise capital or create
like chase money or something like that. Yeah, for sure. I get that.
9 out of 10 times you're not going to be successful. And if you're not happy now, you're not going to be happy doing that when you're back to working 15, 20 hours a day. So, find something that you're really passionate about. I think that's really important. Third, I get back to the networking thing. No matter where you're at, understanding the people you're around, keeping those relationships, and even in situations where you're not happy, if they're out there, you're going to have bad leaders, just like in the military, in the corporate sector, you're going to have bad leaders. Try to learn what you can, and try not to burn bridges as you make an exit or find another, because you never know when those relationships can come in handy later, or people can be more, I guess, vengeful in some circumstances than they need to be. But again, there's so much that comes back to your network and relationships, and you can always try to help. You can learn just as much from success as you can from failures and making mistakes. So actually, I would change that as my third. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Make them fast, make them early, and learn from them. That actually, I would replace my third golden nugget with: don't be afraid of getting out there and making mistakes. Try it. If it doesn't work, oh well, you're still right where you started, and then try it again. Learn from those mistakes, move forward, and you're only going to get better from it. So.
That's awesome, brother. Those are great golden nuggets, golden grenades, wisdom bombs, whatever you want to call them. Make mistakes fast. Don't chase the money, chase your passion. And, when you're getting into a different sector, focus on career path versus industry path. I think those are 3 rock solid. Ambitious Vet, I encourage you to go and implement one of these in the next week. And I promise you, you're going to be experiencing another level in your life. So Ryan, over to you, man. Tell us more about Meritorious and what you guys are offering.
Yeah, so as we mentioned earlier, the website's meritorious.us. Come visit us. If you have any questions, I'm sure we can post my contact information with the podcast. And feel free to reach out to me or reach out to me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. For any of the Ambitious Vets listeners, if you come and visit and want to join the community, I'm happy to offer you 90 days free at the essential membership. So feel free to send me an email or add it in as you're filling out your intake form. And again, happy to answer any questions and look forward to connecting with you guys.
That's awesome. I mean, really how I see Meritorious is a platform for an ambitious vet to plug into and accelerate whatever it is that whatever they're undertaking, right? And that's great. So what would they get with that 90-day free trial? What would they be gaining access to?
Okay. Yeah. So overall with the platform, first of all, having the members that we do, it organically creates that environment for peer-to-peer professional development. So we facilitate that through working groups, committees. Also, we also have the same functionalities you would on LinkedIn with the live feed aggregate, private messaging directory. We also have a number of events up and coming. We have keynote speakers. A week ago, we had the lead economist from JP Morgan Chase. I think the next event coming up is one of our TDGs, or tactical decision games. That'll be more of a smaller cohort style where you break into breakout sessions, working as groups, talking about how you would work through whether it's a business scenario or a business problem, and kind of learning from each other how others might tackle that same issue. Similar to TDGs in the military, especially for you infantry guys that did rock talks or TDGs. It just switched over to the civilian or professional sector. As well as our executive coaches have monthly events and different topics. You also have the ability to connect with them for one-off or one-on-one help or coaching. Our partners are all available with their services. If you're an entrepreneur or have a startup company, you can post your company on our startup hub and connect with our private equity partners, most of them being VCs and angels. Whether you need to raise money or if you're working on your pitch, need help with due diligence, term sheets, so on and so forth. We are going to be doing a rotational series on term sheets coming up. And then again, all on the website, all of our upcoming events through the end of the year are posted. And then, we have career job postings, the groups I mentioned. And I had a brief overview. It becomes a little bit more in depth, but
Yeah.
It's a pretty robust program. There's something there for everybody. You know?
Yeah, I mean, over here with me, I'm looking at the value teeter totter. I'm just like, yeah, the value's way up here for what an ambitious vet would be getting, and that's what you want, ambitious vet. I mean, no matter what your goal is, if it's occupation prestige, business prestige, increase income, or just more life satisfaction, maybe you're a seasoned entrepreneur that wants to go and mentor people. This platform is for you. Again, that's meritorious.us. That's IUS as an ending. It's spelled meritorious.us. Go join, network, and grow inside the trenches with other high-powered veterans just like yourself. Well, Ryan, brother, I just want to thank you for being a crayon eater, man, that got out and didn't slow down. You know, you found the right crayon to start chewing on when you got out, brother. But more importantly, man, I just appreciate you for finding what's missing, in the marketplace and bringing it, man, not hesitating, being a fearless executor, brother. So thank you for joining the show, and thank you for being that in the world, brother.
I appreciate it. Anybody can do it. I tell people all the time, I'm just another dumb grunt infantry guy. So got to pick something.
The Ambitious Vet is available on all popular podcast platforms. Go to vettrainingcoaching.com to subscribe, rate, and share with fellow vets.
Again, thanks to Brute Force Sandbags, which focuses on the gear, the training, and the lifestyle you need to train accordingly. If you haven't already, Ambitious Vet, click the link in the show notes below and explore everything they have to offer.